Hey, Eric, do we have any sadder music that we can
I'm so
play?
fucking tired of this music.
Man.
Yeah, this is just
29 times this season. Oh, man.
It's a lot more than we thought we'd be dealing with. Welcome into the PHNX Suns postgame show. 140-129. Suns lost to the Bucks in Milwaukee, but hey, at least we had to get up early for it. I'm Espo. That's Saul. That's Flex.
At least it didn't ruin our night. It just ruined our day.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Tonight should be
Nothing
better.
alcohol can't cure tonight.
Club 120 here with you. Look, guys,
This is the
I'm just
wackest club I've ever been a part of.
I'm just
There's
gonna
no,
make
no bottle girls. They all left at halftime.
Club 120
They
is
didn't
0 for 2.
They didn't even show up, right? Hey, hold
yeah.
on. Let's make this simple. This is the game. I don't know if you can see it. 3 is greater than 2. The math is that simple.
I see 372.
That's what I saw.
Hold
I was
on,
like, what does 372 mean?
Here, I'll make the handwriting.
Like, did we give up
You can't even do this
372?
3's greater than 2.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's just that's how I
boy.
feel about the 3-point defense. It's as simple as that. Again, right? This team was atrocious in the first half guarding the 3. They give up 18 3-pointers. We talked about it in pregame. I believe it's 89% of the 3s they give up are considered open or wide open looks. And the first half, it reared its ugly head again.
This team has been trash against the 3 all season.
All season.
This is nothing different. It's just the only difference is Milwaukee was hitting at a higher clip. Like you give up 82 points in the first half, and you're supposed to be a contender. You're not a contender. The Suns are not contenders. Like we can finally put that to bed right now. They're not contenders. They're not a serious team. They are absolutely a joke right now when it comes to defense. They made some adjustments in the second half defensively to kind of shore up the 3s a little bit. But why did you wait that long to even get to that point? Then you have your stars that are going MIA from time to time within the game. Kevin Durant was gone basically a whole second half. Devin Booker was struggling. Devin Booker's like, I think he's like 3 out of his last 26 from 3. Like everybody's at fault right now. Every single person. Like, and it's the same shit over and over again. You can't be considered a contender when you continuously make the same errors all the time, especially defensively. And the thing that's just really disappointing is we were fed this belief that this is a top tier offensive unit. They went cold in that first half for a stretch, and Milwaukee just put it to them. It felt like this was like a 50-point game as opposed to the 20 that it was at halftime. And even in the third quarter when they made that run, I don't feel like any of us felt like, oh, yeah, they're going to do this. Like, it's just, man, it was just very disappointing on multiple levels.
But you brought up what upsets me so much, and I know everybody's like, well, lower your expectations. No, I'm so frustrated because they came in with championship expectations, and I'm allowed to be pissed off that they have not lived up to it, nor do they seem like they will achieve that level right now. And I get it. Oh, big 3s sometimes take 2 years to get there. I don't care. I was sold on, like Saul said, this being a dominant offense, that this was the most talented top half of a roster we've ever seen in Suns history, that it was all in on a championship, and this is where we are. And I get it. They could shock the world in the playoffs because they do have the talent, but a first half like today where you give up 82 points, 56 of them coming from behind the arc, the Bucks tie the most 3-pointers made in a half. It's uninspired basketball. It's little things yet again that cost them, and great teams don't have these kind of stretches. So that's why I just don't think there's some switch that gets flipped in the next couple of weeks.
I mean, I totally get that. I do. That preseason expectations were where they were, right? And then all season long, it was it was, oh, well, wait till the big three get on the court. Wait till then it was, well, they haven't had enough time to build the chemistry and blah, blah, blah. Like, it has literally been excuses, not only, and listen, myself, us, we've all been guilty of it. Making excuses because we thought at some point this team would get it together because they would find that chemistry and they would play enough games together and they would find their groove. I don't feel like that's going to happen at all now. Like, I just don't feel like that's in the cards. I feel like at every game, you don't know what's going to happen. The unpredictability of this team is really, really abhorrent. It really is. It's off-putting. The fans definitely don't deserve it. And I will say this, Matt Ishbia doesn't deserve it because he's been trying to put everything into this team possible to get them to reach a high level of success. And they just crapped the bed all season long. They really have. They have not been able to find it. Against the bad teams, they've won those games, or they've played down to the competition and still managed to find those wins. So that's kept them afloat. But against the good teams, they've struggled. Like, they've had one good game against a good team, in my opinion, and that was against the Denver Nuggets. Like a top-tier team. I don't consider the Kings a top-tier team. So that's where I'm at.
I think they are consistent in that they're completely inconsistent. And actually, I think we know who they are. We see these performances time and time again. Even against Charlotte, there was these lapses where they just kind of lose concentration, and they go from 32 points up to 10. Like, concentration and focus, I think, is part of this as well, because that's a huge defensive part. Flex, where do you stand? Talk us off a cliff if you got something for us.
I mean,
Good
listen,
luck.
I'm not listen. I'm not talking off nobody off a cliff. You guys have all the right in the world to feel this way. I mean, this was a terrible first half. An NBA record 18 threes by Milwaukee. Here's my thing. This isn't about offense. They got 129 on the board today. It wasn't about offense that first half neither. They scored 60. Last time I checked, 60 points and a half is a good offensive team in the NBA. You just can't give up 82. You just can't. You can't give up 82. Now, my thing here is this. The big three, the expectations, Matt Ishbia, all that stuff. But there's some other people, man. We were sold on Frank Vogel being a defensive genius. Where'd that go?
Well,
wait.
I'm going to say this, though. You hire a defensive genius, and then you don't give him any defensive parts. I'm not defending Frank, but it's at least, like, who's the defensive guy you gave him other than KD
Who was
when
the
he locks
defensive
in?
guy that they had in the second half today? Same guys out in the first half.
Yeah.
They made adjustments at the three-point line. Frank, they gave up 120 points to Boston at the three-point line in 2 games. They gave up 56 at halftime today. Okay? In the second half, they made adjustments. They ran them off the line. They stood at home, and you saw what happened. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't know how Frank did not make the adjustment earlier. And how did Frank not make the adjustment before the game after seeing what happened in Boston? So I will agree with you on this. I think this team has enough firepower in the playoffs to compete and be a good team offensively. But if they don't fix how they defend the three-point line, they're cooked. Because this is a three-point league. I've said this numerous times. You could go to any box score around the league, not just a Phoenix Suns game. Don't just watch Suns games. Watch games all over the league. Look at the three-point line, you know who won. Like, it's that simple. So, yeah, this was the absolute worst half of defensive basketball defending the three-point line I might have ever seen in my entire fucking life.
But how much is scheme and how much is effort? Because isn't defense primarily effort?
Boy, it's a little bit of both.
Like, I mean, if you're a player, right?
Yeah.
And you understand that even if you're supposed to be playing a certain scheme, don't at some point you go, I'm not leaving this dude because he's cooking us. Bobby Portis had 25 first half points. How is that not stick on this guy? At all costs, I'm going to stick on it, even if I'm not playing the right assignment at times, because you got to know that, right? Am I totally off base? How much is defensive effort?
If I was coaching in a game like this, and I called a timeout, and Bobby Portis got another open look, oh, there's going to be some shit in that locker room. Somebody's getting knocked the hell off their ass in that locker room or not playing. But I mean, again, it's not all on Frank. The players have to put their part in. But I mean, 18 of them, dog. 18 of them. That ain't just players. That's a systematic failure. Cross the board.
Agreed.
And then you make the adjustment in the second half and they make 4. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, I know what my eyes just saw. My eyes just saw an entirely different approach in the second half. And for my money, the Suns wiped the floor with the Bucks in the second half. Now, that doesn't mean shit because you got the L. But I'm not going to sit here and act like this game right here, huh?
I mean, I don't know about wipe the floor.
Wipe the floor, bro. Plus,
they outscored them by 11. They wiped the floor. The Bucks wiped the floor with the Suns in the first half by beating them by 22. They cut the lead in half. It's 140 to 129. That's all they did. And they were down by double digits the entire second half, except for like a stretch where they cut it to 6, and then that went right back up immediately. So I mean, it's not like listen, man, like we talked about, I've been on teams before in college where like we have a good stretch in the game, but we didn't really have a chance. But after the game, we'll tell ourselves, hey man, if we just play like this the whole game, we'll be good. Well, they can't. They haven't done it.
Well, and if you're a team and you only have 3 second chance points in an entire game, you're not winning that. The Bucks made more 3-pointers in the first half than they average in the entire game.
Bro,
they
had 24 today. Boston had 25 the other day. I mean, this is what I'm saying. I mean, dog, if it walk like a duck and quack like a duck, call a fucking duck. It's the 3-point shooting. That's it. There's nothing. It's the 3-point shooting. Everything else to me is, you look at the box score, the Suns beat them in damn near every category in this basketball game, except the 3-point line. So I'm just saying, unless you think that teams are going to hit 25 threes every night, then that's what we're getting. But this to me is just, you got to fix the 3-point line. And I don't think that's not fixable. I can't for the life of me think that we can't come up with a system to stop a 3-point shooting team from shooting 25
but they
a game.
haven't all year. Why are we waiting until you got 14 games left?
I don't know.
To figure
I'm not Frank. I'm not Frank. I wouldn't be waiting.
Why do you think that every single time this happens, you look on Twitter and it's like, how come every team seems to be shooting threes at a crazy clip against us? It's because of our defense and lack thereof. The wide open threes. We're not even talking about like, I'm 3 feet away. We're talking about 5 to 10 feet away from the closest defender. These guys are getting wide open jump shots. Like, it's just insane. I've never seen as many open threes from one team in my life as I have this season with this team.
I agree with that.
Which is crazy to me to think. Like,
and it ain't magic that these guys are hitting them. Like, it's because the defense has been bad.
They're taking warm-up jumpers.
To put it in perspective, Suns scored 60 points in the first half, right?
Yeah.
The Bucks scored 56 off threes alone. Right there. 82 points was the most points the Suns have given up in a half since
in 7 years.
Since the 19-win season.
Yeah. That's time. Bro, I mean, they set it for us on the TV. I mean, it's an NBA record, 18 threes. I mean, now, if y'all think that every team is going to hit 18 threes at the half and keep shooting like that, I can't listen. I can't go down that road. I am not going down that road. I am not going to sit here and act like I believe that every fucking team is going to do that. I just don't. I'm just not. They not have always had.
Not a record pace, but enough where the math don't math, right? The reason they got back into this was because of 3-pointers starting to fall in the second half. In particular, Grayson goes on, scores 8 of 11 points in an 11-0 run in the third that really closed that gap. He had 2 threes in there.
How many wide open threes did we miss?
Well,
I saw a lot.
Okay. But
so they hit their wide open threes and we didn't. That's part of it too.
Agreed.
Like, listen, they kicked our ass today. They did. They kicked our ass in the first half. They dominated this basketball game, and they had an all-time great NBA half, not including the reincarnation of fucking Michael Jordan and Bobby Portis, like in the first half. So, I mean, this is a tough one.
Yeah, but we've ignored the fact that Giannis wasn't even in this game.
Didn't matter. Bobby Portis was Giannis tonight. Bobby Portis was young. It's the same
first
shit we
half,
say
sure.
about Boston. Like, it doesn't math. You said the math don't math? Like, Al Horford had 26 the other night. If Porzingis played, he would have got Porzingis numbers. Like, Bobby Portis played like Giannis today.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me like
63 times.
It's all on me at that point. Like, I don't see how it magically gets fixed. Maybe do they make it to the second round and hang in and lose a series? Maybe, and then you go, okay, well, maybe they'll put it together next year. But I just don't see how at any point this all just clicks magically. And I'll be the first to admit I'm wrong if it happens, and I'll be excited about it. But this is probably the most disheartened I've felt this year, because I thought maybe this is finally the time. Weaker schedule. Maybe you can run it off. Maybe you can fight off the Kings and the Mavs and wind up in that 4, 5, 6 spot if you catch fire, and then it's a gut punch this morning in that first half. I don't have the faith about that.
Look, he said, I'm tired of other team stars punking our stars and Suns players looking defeated in the first quarter. Shit, it wasn't even their stars. We're talking about Bobby Portis.
No. Bobby Portis
just lit us up. And listen, after the first 2 or 3, okay, you got to identify the dude because he's hot. They didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't. And listen, that's not just Frank Vogel.
It's not. It's players,
dude,
but it is Frank.
Got to step up and get it. Listen, somebody's got to get animated out there and start calling dudes out for not rotating the correct way or not manning up, and that's what we would do in regular life, right? Like if you're at the playground playing and some dude keeps leaving the guy wide open, you're getting in his ass.
Yeah,
what is happening here? There's no accountability on the court whatsoever. Somebody's got to get upset. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck if you just fake it. At least show me that somebody's holding somebody accountable out there, because right now it just seems like it's just lost. Everybody's lost out there.
I go full flex. I go box in one zone, right? And just put somebody on Bobby Portis and everybody else plays a zone behind him. Anything. Get creative. Something to stop a dude who does not score. That was the most points he ever scored in a half in his career.
He averages 8 for the season.
He doesn't do that shit.
Al Horford averages 7.
Yeah.
We keep seeing the same thing.
The disappointing thing too is I know it was sandwiched with a Charlotte Hornets game in the middle, but if you take the second half of the Celtics game and the first half of this Milwaukee game, holy fuck. That is not great.
So hold on. What did you just say?
The second half of the Celtics game and the first half of the Milwaukee game.
Okay. And if I take the first half of the Charlotte game and the second half of the Milwaukee game, what are we seeing?
Okay.
No. I'm just keeping it 100,
the
man.
Charlotte game?
Bro, they were up 32 in the Charlotte game.
Okay.
It's the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, if the big three plays,
right, so you got to beat Charlotte by 192 to be.
No,
they're the worst team in basketball.
Come on, man. That's bullshit, man. That's not a litmus test, but you just put Charlotte into it.
No, I did.
You brought Charlotte into it.
I said the second half of the Celtics game and the first half of the Bucks game.
I heard you wrong. I thought you said Charlotte.
Why would I ever bring Charlotte into this? They're bottom feeders.
I thought you said Charlotte. When you said Charlotte, that's why I emptied Charlotte.
I deserve an apology.
Okay, I'm sorry. My bad. I could have swore I heard Charlotte. So when you entered Charlotte, I said, shit, I'm going to throw Charlotte into it. If you wanted to do it.
That would be deserved, but I did say Charlotte.
All right, my bad. That's my bad.
Hey, Flex, I feel like Saul wanted to say, you do you, buddy. All right? But you know where you can do you at Gila River.
You know what me and Saul just did? What the fuck Saul wants the Suns team and players to do?
Yes.
Fight with each other.
Hold each other accountable.
Right, there we go.
You guys should take each other to Gila River Resorts and Casinos and enjoy a nice, relaxing afternoon. They've got everything you could want from a resort and casino, the best gaming floor I have ever experienced. And I'm a man who has spent 2 full weeks in Vegas before. They've got fantastic food, whether you want something quick and easy or you want a fantastic sit-down meal. And that's not even the best. They got one of the premier sports books in the Valley, BetMGM Sportsbook, there as well. It's got everything you could want. And they got blackjack blackjack tables. I mean, I love me some blackjack because it's simple math. Like 3 is greater than 2. Just don't get over 21. It's that simple when you go there. And we're gonna announce this soon, but a great event during Final Four weekend out there at Wild Horse Pass that we're gonna want you to join us for. So head over to Gila River Resorts and Casinos and let them show you what Next Level is all about. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com for more details. And you know what? It is St. Patrick's Day. And you know what you do on St. Patrick's Day? You freaking drink. And this game has made us all want to do that. And when you go to crack one open, please crack open a Four Peaks brew. They are Arizona's hometown brewery, and they are spectacular. And they've got a new beer just for you, Bad Birdie Juicy Golden Ale, a collab between Four Peaks and Bad Birdie. It is super drinkable and a perfect companion at the tea box or in your fridge. We're heading over to our friend Craig Morgan's house tonight for our annual St. Patrick's Day party. He's got it stocked up with Four Peaks. Gerald's wedding on Friday, stocked up with Four Peaks, because those two men know that the best beer is Four Peaks. So visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all your favorite beers and events. Check out at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and please enjoy responsibly.
Real quick. Hey, listen, folks, like, we understand people get upset. They're in their feels about the Suns and everybody's freaking pissed off or whatever like that. But what we're not going to have happen is just people going crazy and attacking people on this panel. Like, we're trying to tell you exactly not only how we viewed the game, but also how we think the fan base is taking in the game as well. And we're all going to have different opinions. So don't listen. You can disagree with us all you want, but don't be a dick, okay? Because if you be a dick, then we're gonna have to put you in timeout, and we don't need to go there. All right, be cool. Just be cool. All right.
Don't be a Denver Nuggets fan. That's what we're saying.
Come on.
Don't be a dick. Hey, why don't we take a look at what's in the box? Brought to you by our friends over at Desert Financial Credit Union.
What's in the box?
Oh, man, look at this thing, man. 140 to 129 Milwaukee Bucks victory. That first half says it all, man. We talked about first half 3-pointers made, 18-3, favor the Milwaukee Bucks. First half points off from the 3-point line, favor the Bucks, 56-9. 3 points made for the game, 24-41. To the Suns, 14-33 in favor of the Bucks once again, and they shoot almost 60%. And in fact, first half points, 82-60. I mean, dog, listen, that right there, I swear to you, I've never seen I've never seen numbers like that ever in my life. And for an NBA first half. And it's crazy because I went back and I'm starting thinking, I'm like, man, some of the best 3-point shooting teams ever, right? That Golden State team, the Rockets team with CP. They never did nothing like this. We talking about the Milwaukee Bucks, man. Like, this is crazy. Something got to get fixed at that 3-point line.
Could you imagine what that Warriors team would have done to this Suns defense?
Oh, God. Don't even
think 18 was a lot.
Don't even take me to that space, bro.
Yeah, look, shout out to Roy. Suns hit 11 threes in that second half. Basically, it was Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. Royce O'Neal finally broke out of his funk and hit 4 of them in that fourth quarter. So that's why you see that gap close, was in part because of that. But this, I mean, it wasn't a pretty box score across the board. And, you know, most of everybody in the starting lineup shot 50% or better, except I'm just going to say, except for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was 4-10. 11 points, did have 9 rebounds, 4 assists, but you like we've said, this team's going to go as the big 3 goes, right?
Yeah.
It's just going to be that simple. I don't care what the defense does. If your big 3, if one of them only has 11 points, whether it's Book, it's Beal, it's KD, you're not going to get it done in a given night. You're just not. Especially when Bobby Portis is going off for 25.
Well, I think that's also the problem here, is that it's not just that. It's like they started off the game being like, sometimes I feel like they're playing like they're too cool for school. You know what I mean? Like
I see that.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like they're it's not going through the motions because they're playing, but it's also not peak performance.
It's not fifth gear.
You know what I mean?
It's like third gear.
And so then when the other team starts cooking, they don't really have an answer at the moment. You know what I mean? And so, and that's tough. And then, like, listen, I've been a large proponent of, like, I don't really give a shit that they don't have a point guard, but I do see spots where you just need somebody to orchestrate things, get everybody positioned, and get the right play executed, because it's not happening too often. Yeah. And so they're resorting to iso ball. And then, and there's a variety of different things. And I know everybody's in the chat. It's like, it's all over the place. People call out Booker, call out KD. Like, it's a mixture of everything. Listen, the superstars bear the responsibility. Mm-hmm. The only one that really showed up today at all, to me, was Bradley Beal. Correct. Especially in that second half. He was trying to get it to him. Like, so I give him props for that. But everybody in that first half was kind of MIA. And that's unacceptable for your stars. You can't have your big three get outplayed by basically one dude, half a superstar, and then Bobby Portis. Like, that can't happen.
No. Bobby Portis damn near outscored the big three. He didn't quite.
Well, he outscored each one of them.
Yeah, individually. And if you added up their points, it wasn't far.
No.
Like, he damn near.
Okay. In the first half.
In the first half.
In the second half.
No, first half. Okay. In the first half, like, again, you mentioned Royce, okay? Royce did a good job of finally hitting some shots in this fourth quarter, right? He was 1 for 7 at the half, shooting 16%.
Yeah.
And if you go back to the Boston, so he's been in a funk himself. I think what's happening here is you see when you get contributions from those guys, when you get contributions from the role guys, how much it opens up for the superstars. And it feels like the superstars they're trying to get they're trying to get into their groove. They're working their way into a game. And then you got some of these disappearing acts from role players. And then by the time the role players decide to show up, it's too late.
But the bench scored 34 today. The fact that Kevin Durant comes out and only scores 11 and sits his ass in the corner, doesn't shoot at once in the fourth, and people say, no. Kevin Durant has to be aggressive at times. He didn't shoot once in the fourth quarter. Like, to me, none of these guys can go MIA at any point, especially when your bench finally shows up. Like, this team can't get it all together at any given time. Either their stars are scoring like crazy and nobody else does, or their bench shows up and one of their stars goes MIA. You can't win like this.
The reason why I don't want to take that approach in this game is because the bench showed up in the second half, but it was too late. It was down 22. Where was the bench in the first half?
Yeah, but
where was anybody in the first half?
Think about this though. Like, what were we pitched before the season start? That, like, Book is going to be able to free up Beal and KD, and KD is going to be able to free up Beal and Book, and, like, it's going to make it so easy because you got to pick your poison. I don't see that happening at all. Like, I don't see the freedom of movement and the high scoring rates and the freedom and the wide open shots that these guys are supposedly being able to create for each other. I have not seen that at a high level yet, especially not against the great teams. Like, again, the Nuggets game was the best game that they've had all season, but they only had 2 of the big 3 in that game. With all 3 of them against premier talent, when have we seen, like, a crazy good game, wide open jump shots, like the picture perfect thing that we were told was going to happen at the beginning of the season? I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it, and I don't know if that's going to happen at all this year, because nothing that I've seen so far from game 1 to game 65 now or 66 has told me that I'm going to see it.
Who's the best teams? When you say great teams, name them.
I'd say the top 2 in each conference.
Okay,
Boston,
Minnesota, they blew out by 30, and I thought they played well in that game.
But there was not the big 3. That was 2 of the 3.
And they were on a back-to-back. So it doesn't matter. That's irregardless. Okay. Let's just say the Nuggets, the Nuggets.
They should have beat the Nuggets twice.
OKC. I put OKC up there.
I look at the Nuggets 2 games, and I thought they could have beat the Nuggets the first time. It went down to the last minute, that foul on Nurk, and then they beat them in Denver.
And then Milwaukee and Celtics.
And then they beat Milwaukee once, and they got their ass whipped today by Milwaukee. The 2 Boston games, yeah, man. That's where I'm kind of getting at. I think Boston has earned my respect to the point where Boston is clearly the clear-cut best team in the world. And then everybody, there's tiers to it. Boston's in tier 1, and then all those other teams you're saying are a tier below. I don't think there's any of those teams close to Boston. I don't.
I think, look, it pains me to say this, but I think Denver is. Denver since the All-Star break has shown that they are still that team. I think
I respect them. I just don't think they're on Boston's level.
Well, yeah,
that's just my opinion.
Boston has been playing unbelievable.
Are the Clippers
on Boston's?
No, like are the Clippers?
No,
would you
Clippers
consider the
on
Clippers?
Denver's tier.
Do you think the Clippers match up better with us though? Like if we had to face the Clippers, would you be pretty scared?
I'm scared with any of the other.
Well, I know,
9.
but like what I'm saying is the Clippers have had our number this year.
They have, but we have this the same way if we're gonna nitpick for other teams, we got to nitpick for the Suns. There were times where the Suns weren't themselves. They weren't healthy. They had 2 of the big 3 out. So full strength, Clippers Suns. The Clippers don't scare me as much as a Boston or a Denver. They don't. I personally. Boston and Denver are, to me, the top 2 teams, Clippers. But anyway, I guess the point I'm trying to make is they haven't had so many opportunities against those great teams. There's been good flashes. I remember a game against the Pelicans where we were supposed to get beat the hell down in New Orleans. They were playing good, and we beat them by damn near 30 and mopped the floor with them. And that's a good defensive team. That's a Willie Green defensive team, and they're 5th in the West right now. The Dallas game at the time, Dallas was up top of the conference, not in the bottom, and we went to Dallas and mopped the floor with them. So I'm saying, like, I'm just saying, I've seen them play against good teams, but I sometimes it's easy to forget those when the most recent thing that happened is Boston, Milwaukee.
Yeah, you say we see flashes, but I feel like it's my weight since 30. Yeah, sure, I dropped 80 pounds 3 times to be sub 200, but then I still fuck it up eventually. That's just the way this team is right now.
Let me ask you something.
Great, I can see it work for 3 months, and then there's little flashes. 1 quarter does not make me believe in this team.
But let me ask you something. Who's the clear-cut best team in the West?
The Nuggets.
The Nuggets?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Where do they? Okay. After the Nuggets, how close is from 2 to 8?
2. There's teams much closer than us.
No. I'm saying keep it real.
What difference does that make?
The difference between 2 and 8, because I feel like y'all are putting the Clippers and some of these teams in they like 2.5 games better than they can lose 3 in a row and somebody can win 3 in a row and the Clippers are a playing team. So why are we putting these teams on pedestals like they've been playing great all year? They haven't. No one's been dominating the West.
They've had better stretches than the Suns have had.
By
the
3
Suns
games?
By
3 games?
They put full games together. The Suns have not put a full game together with the big 3.
They haven't put one full game all year.
No, there has not been 4 quarters that you look at and you go, that was an unbelievable 4 quarters. All right? Have they won games because they've had a good couple of quarters and played impressive? Like the Kings game, down 22, you have an impressive 8-minute stretch? Sure. But I have not seen 4 quarters where you can look at this team and legitimately tell me that they played a full basketball game where everything was clicking, where I could go, that team makes sense.
Does every team play a full Because here's another thing. Watch enough basketball, every fucking game there's a 20-point lead in a basketball game. Every game. That's commonplace. Watch basketball around the league and tell me if in every game you don't see a team up 15 or 20. So if Denver wins the game, you remember how many Denver wins? They were up 20 and only won by 5? Is that a full game? No, that's not a full game. So that's what I'm saying. We're sitting here putting the Suns into this box as if they're the only ones that are doing that.
Yeah, but that's the only team I fucking care about. That's the thing.
I get that. So we could talk about the Suns, but let's not act like they're doing things that no one else in the league is doing.
I totally get that. But the litmus test is not what everybody else is doing. It's what the premier teams are doing. And how would we fare against those premier teams? And right now, I'm telling you, visually looking at this team game to game and the inconsistency, I don't have very much confidence that they're going to be able to execute when the rubber meets the road. I don't give a shit if it's the play-in or if it's in the turn or if it's in the playoffs itself when it's the first or second round or whatever. Like I don't know what you can possibly hold on to with this team that gives you so much confidence to think that they're going to finally come through against these teams in a 7-game series. And I know you're very high on that that they're going to be able to match up game to game in a playoff and that they're built for the playoffs. I just don't see it. And that's okay that we disagree. I just don't see it. This team has been too egregiously underperformed all season when they have the sum of their parts, when they don't have the sum of their parts, when guys just show up and they don't show up, like the big three. Like we got a couple games where they've all scored 20 points. Then we've had games like this where one guy scores 11, another one scores 28, somebody's in the middle. Like, we need more consistency across the board. And like I do feel like from time to time we are deflecting all over the place. It's it's the chemistry. Oh, it's the bench. Oh, it's the defense. Oh, it's not this. It's that. Like if you're constantly having to make up excuses at a variety of different points and compare us to other teams and how they're performing, then you're probably not as good as you think you are. And that's where I'm going. As I just think that this team is not consistent enough to be a championship contender. And honestly, like, they need to worry about just the playoffs. They don't need to worry about championship aspirations. They need to worry about one game at a motherfucking time because they're struggling just with that. I mean, you can't go from the Celtics game and get blown out in the second half and then come back, have a great first half against the Hornets, and then the second half starts, and in the fourth quarter, those same Wolves come back to haunt you again. Like, when are we going to learn our lesson from game to game? And that's the thing that is struggling with me, is that they don't learn their lessons. They habitually repeat them over and over again. And yes, as people are saying in the chat, IT ain't going to solve that.
No. I wish, you know what I wish? I'm being honest here. I wish I was actually part of this network and part of this show when the Suns went 68, 64 and 18. I wish, because I don't have that experience. Y'all have that. From this lens, I can just see what I see and how I saw it. But I'm gonna keep saying it, man. I've been watching basketball too long to get okey doked into this shit. Like
the 64 and 18.
I would have loved to see what the chat was saying and what everybody else was saying.
Everybody was great. Espo will tell you, behind the scenes, I told him, I was just like, I don't have a good feeling about this team getting very far.
Okay.
I did not have a good feeling about that team going, because I did see some things that were kind of like concerning, right?
Yeah.
But if you say it out loud, well, this team's 64 and 18, you're fucking stupid and blah, 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 blah. It's like, all right, well, you know what? I'll just bite my lip. But that's exactly what happened. And so, like, I look at this team, I get the same vibes. They're not going to be, going to be able to rise up to the point where they need to be the caliber of team that we thought they were. I'm not even going to say championship caliber. I just want them to maximize their potential, and I don't see that happening this season.
Go ahead.
I understand your point, and I agree with it, that no team plays 100% through all four quarters. But my problem is this team goes completely MIA at times. Look at the first half of this game defensively. There's been all sorts of examples. They have the 5th worst differential in fourth quarter in NBA history. Like, it's fundamental things. It's not that they aren't playing 100% every quarter. We've seen almost in every game some stretch where they completely disappear. And that's my problem. It's not that they're not 100% all the time. They can go from like 100 to like 20% showing up, and that's problematic.
We talked about something behind the scenes, and I'm not going to say anything about I'm just going to speak on myself. I look at this team, and it reminds me, I brought that 64 and 18 team up for a reason. I look at this team, and it reminds me of that Dallas team that beat us. This is what this team reminds me of. Now, that Dallas team got to the conference finals and got their ass worn out by the Warriors. Now, if that happens, that happens. But when I look at this Phoenix Suns team, I look at a team that in the playoffs is going to cause problems for people over a length of a series. One game, you might see stuff like this happen, but over a 7-game stretch with the same personnel, with the ability to make adjustments, with the ability to say, I'm playing the Bucks again tomorrow or the next day, and we're not giving them 18 threes in the first quarter of this next game. In that scenario, this is why I believe in the Suns. I don't believe in them on a day-to-day basis in this regular season. I don't. I don't, which is why I keep telling you, I just get in the playoffs. But when they're in the playoffs, I do think that they can make adjustments. I do think they have the firepower and the personnel to get it together over a length of a series. And I do think they can make it to the Western Conference Finals. Now, what happens after that, I don't know. But I do think they can get to the Conference Finals. Much like the Dallas Mavericks, go back. Don't take my word for it. Go back to this date, that year, and tell me where the Mavericks were in the standings, and then do some homework. Sit your ass at home. Not your, I'm saying in general. Sit down, pull up, go to YouTube, go to League Pass, pull up some tape on the Mavericks that year. Pull up the tape on the Mavericks versus the Suns in the regular season and the ass whoopings we gave them. Pull up the tape of Game 1 and Game 2 against the Mavericks and the ass whoopings we gave them, and then realize the Mavericks made adjustments, had firepower, and won 4 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah, but the Mavericks didn't have 3 superstars. They had 1, right?
Well, we've low.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not talking. No, I'm not. Yeah.
So why would our expectations not be higher than that? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And that's why they're not meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, like.
Okay.
If the bar is now that Mavericks team, okay, fine.
That's not the bar. It's an example.
I know, but if that's who they are, then they make the Western Conference Finals, they're out, right? Like that's not where the expectation was, but where they're sitting now, you would take them making the Western Conference Finals.
You could hear Espo going into to therapist mode. His voice went down a notch.
Sometimes
like,
you have
listen,
to,
guys. Let's just calm down.
Sometimes you have to modulate
and
that
sometimes
voice.
you have to get into the next athlete.
That was where I was trying to head. Thank you very much. You know what could make us all feel better?
Fucking drugs.
No, that is not where I'm going. But you can do that with $200 free from our friends over at Desert Financial Credit Union. They have been a fantastic sponsor of us, and they've been doing that for the Valley for 84 years. They've been fantastic to Arizona. Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest and most trusted credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. And we can all remember, in bad times like this, giving back to the community can make us all feel slightly better, right? So the Desert Financial team are a team of financial experts who are committed to their members and the community, offering financial solutions tailored to helping real people achieve their financial goals and dreams. And in the current financial climate, it is nice to have somebody on your side trying to help you reach those. So look to Desert Financial for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, and investment options, and more. Join a credit union that is committed to giving back to the community and sharing success with its members. When I open my vending machine business and run the hell away from media, they're who I'm going to go to for my small business loan, so I don't have to deal with you guys yelling at me anymore. Man. And you know what? Right now, when you open a free checking account,
we're not yelling at
I'm talking to the chat, right?
I'm not you two.
Then when the chat's done yelling at me, I'm going to go open my vending machine business.
They yelling at you. They screaming at me.
And I'm gonna open a free checking account online and get that free $200 in bonuses as seed money. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. And guess what? You want more money?
Let's go.
I got another thing for
Arizona
you.
Lottery?
Arizona Lottery.
Let's go.
We can go touch some grass, get outside,
I
enjoy
hope I hit this
the weather.
fucking Mega Millions on Tuesday, so I don't ever have to come back and deal with this shit anymore.
We can all go outside, take a nice hike, enjoy the fresh air, enjoy the beautiful weather, and participate in Arizona's Lottery's newest promotion, Arizona Adventures. There are great ways to win. One, you can play one of their new great scratchers featuring 3 iconic landscapes, Picacho Peak, Monument Valley, and Camelback Mountain. These tickets have prizes up to $50,000.
Damn, DJ.
Or you can check it. Yeah, we need a longer.
Damn, come on,
if
man.
we're going to do this music thing, we need a longer bed than 1:30 since they all got to be 60 seconds.
It's like 2.5 minutes.
All right.
So
Well, you can check in at locations around the state, 10 of them, in fact, between here, Flagstaff, half to Yuma. You can see all the details at azadventure.com, and you can win prizes when you check in, up to $1 million in cash and travel prizes. So the Arizona Lottery is not just about playing games and winning prizes, though. It's also about giving back to the state and its communities. Once again, visit azadventure.com for more information on how you can take an adventure for a chance to win $1 million in cash and Arizona travel prizes.
We do appreciate everybody in the chat and you guys' perspectives. I do appreciate everybody toning it back a little bit, not attacking everybody. Thank you so much. And listen, you guys are all making some very good points. Everybody's frustrated. Some people are, saying that it's the coaching staff, it's the players, whatever. I think we can agree that it's a mixture of everything. Yeah. It is everything that has been affecting this team from day one to right now. And we are all hopeful. I don't know. I think there's less optimism in the fan base right now than there once was maybe a month ago. And it feels like every month that goes by, there's a little less optimism as we inch closer to the playoffs. And by the time we get to the playoffs, we'll see how much optimism is in there. But what I will say is this, to harness some of Flex's energy and optimism, I will say this. We have seen teams in the past that have been kind of just struggling through the season, finding their way, and then they get to the playoffs and somehow, some way, they're able to put it together. I'm not saying it's going to be this team. Nothing tells me it's going to be this team, but we have seen that. So if you lost 99% of your optimism, hold on to that 1% at the very least. Yeah. And hopefully we can get to the end and be happy some way, somehow. But it's a long way to go.
And look, I think it's healthy to have skepticism, have these discussions now when you're at this place. And if they wind up going on a magical run and winning it, you say, okay, yeah, back then I didn't see it, but I understand how they got there, and you celebrate it. That's part of being fans. And I appreciate Flex's optimism, and I appreciate the fact that I can be pessimistic and Saul can sit in the middle there.
I'm in a lose-lose situation here.
How's that?
No, and I'm cool with it. I like this.
How's it a lose-lose situation?
No, I'm in a lose-lose situation.
No, you're not in a lose-lose situation.
I'm going to explain.
If they turn around and win, you're going to be like, I fucking told y'all. Like, that's not a lose situation.
Okay. And look, but that's not really my nature to be like, I fucking told you.
How are you lose-lose situation?
No, because you kind of nailed it. That it's really not in my nature to be that braggadocious. So I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to be like,
you will eventually. We'll break you.
I'm going to enjoy the ride. Like if they do well, I'm going to enjoy the ride. I don't get joy out of like, yo, I told you, right what. But if I'm wrong. Oh, I'm getting the smoke.
I think
I
Mark
am getting the smoke.
Hold on. I think Mark N in the chat has it right. Flex didn't put this team together. Being positive is refreshing, especially for those of us that are struggling with other things in life or are struggling with this team too. Like, I appreciate another perspective. If this was just too...
Well, then you have another guy, like hell damn guy, that says, I do not appreciate your optimism. It is unfounded.
But that's fine. Like,
that is where the fan base sits right now.
If this were just you and I, it'd be Waldorf and Statler sitting up in the...
Nobody knows who the fuck that is.
Look at I don't know who that is.
Like, I barely realized that.
Two angry old Muppets, all right? That's what this show would be right now. The optimism is welcome. And you know what? Let's have a little bit more optimism. Let's show the people who are big, bright, shining stars.
Oh, we have one of those today?
I'm a big, bright, shining star.
Wait a second. I praise you for being optimistic, and then what you say is, we had one of those today?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we had one of those today.
It's
our friend Bradley Beal, who dropped 28 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds. He was also perfect around the rim today. 4 of 4 at the rim in the second half. 5 of 5 in the first half. 3. So overall, he was 9 of 9 in the paint tonight. He was aggressive. He got to the hoop and he finished. I give him credit for that. He went out there and played well. And if you go back and look at the last 8 games, he's played very well for this team. I think he's shooting over 40% from 3, is averaging about 22 points, a little over 6 assists. He has stepped up since he's been healthy. I want to give him credit for what he's done. Much like Kevin Durant early in the year, where he found a way to dominate despite what was going on. Bradley Beal has done that as of late.
And he's doing it on the lowest amount of shots by far. I think they said Book's getting 20. KD's getting 19, he's getting 14.
Yeah.
So that's impressive, man. I mean, if you would think that if you gave Brad the green light like he had in Washington, you hovering around that 28 range, which who he is.
Yeah.
I do wonder right now.
Okay, good.
If Beal is starting to be like, man, fuck this. You know what I mean? Like, and being a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more assertive. And I said at the beginning of the year that at some point he was going to find his groove and be a little bit more assertive and aggressive, because at the beginning of the year, he was deferring way too much.
Yeah.
Now he's finding his opportunities to get to the rim, attacking hard. Like, he's got the game. Like, and we've all known that. It's just he needed to put it together and find that confidence and find his footing within this group. And I don't even think that we've even, obviously, again, like when we talk about chemistry, you know, it's not like everybody else is playing at their peak right now. So it's not only about finding yours in moments when everybody's playing off, it's also about maintaining that when everybody else does pick their play up in those games that hopefully will come in the future. So I love Bradley Beal. I've loved his acquisition. I know a lot of people don't, because they didn't understand the trade and how the money works, and that we wouldn't have gotten shit for Chris Paul. But I think he's been a welcome addition. $50 million is a lot to pay for one guy per year, especially at a clip like this. It needs to get higher. He needs to play higher, and he's going to probably have to drop significant points if we do get to the playoffs, and when we get to the playoffs or the play-in or whatever, because they're going to need his points. They're going to need his aggressiveness. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah.
Do you think that's a silver line? Do you think that, not a silver line, but do you think that is something that you can pull from the recent struggles?
Yeah, it's massively encouraging.
That Brad Beal is starting to find his way? Now, to Saul's point, I will say this. This is frustrating. KD was just on the heater, averaging almost 40 a game over 4 games. Book was out. Book comes back. Things start to change. It's like they're taking turns going on heaters. It looks like it may be Brad's turn now. It looks like Brad may be the guy that's going to say, okay, I'm going to get busy now. We've seen it from 2. I have rarely seen it from 3. We got 90 points from them the other night. That was a nice little sign, but that was a game against the Cavaliers, who are a good team. Cavs are second in the East, third in the East. But
yeah, they were highly
that
injured,
team
though.
we played was good. But that's what I'm saying. That's what keeps me a little bit optimistic, is that I still believe that you can have that moment where you get all 3 of them cooking at the same time, and boy, yeah.
Look, I know we spent a lot of the beginning of the show saying, well, 3 is greater than 2, right? But I think 2 can be just as powerful as 3 if you tighten up that defense and you're as aggressive as Beal's been attacking the rim, right? Because eventually, I don't know what weird things going on with officiating right now. I don't know if Adam Silver picked up the bat phone and said, swallow the goddamn whistle. But at some point, that aggressiveness will lead to fouls as well in the playoffs. And so I like what Bradley Beal's doing. If they all 3 could put it together, I could see where you get to what you're thinking. But God, Brad needs to do it when the other 2. It's just as simple as that. Let's take a look at some of the super chats that have come in today. Libertarian Sasquatch 199 says JJ and Frank might want to make a LinkedIn account.
Damn.
I mean, somebody's gonna, if they flame out, somebody or some buddies are gonna be the fall guys.
Damn right they will be.
Oh yeah.
Alec in the chat says, if we lose the play-in, we wouldn't have been a championship team anyway. We're definitely in the play-in, so I'm not living and dying by regular season games.
True.
I'm with that.
Cody says the Suns don't deserve to be in the playoffs at this point. Pint.
I don't know about that. They're 10 games above 500.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Yeah, I mean,
they're 10 games
not
above.
I'll say this:
out.
there's not 5 other teams in the West that are more deserving than the Suns. I'll say that. So
no, the Lakers, the Warriors have been just as inconsistent, if not
Mavericks,
more so.
Yeah.
The Mavs have been
Kings.
hot and cold.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, all of them have fallen into that trap that are in the back half. Austin says they lacked defensive attention to hot players.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
Yep. John Boy 21. Are y'all ready to admit the KD trade for Mikal, point of attack defender of a 60-win team, and Cam Johnson was the worst trade in Suns history?
No way.
No.
And you're not watching Mikel this season if you still think that. That just shows me you're not watching the Brooklyn Nets at all.
Yeah, I mean, go back and look.
Chance.
They traded Bogdanovic and picks for freaking Marquise Chris. Let's be honest. And let's take a look where Brooklyn is in the standings. Oh, yeah, they're not even in the play-in. They're 26 and 41. So you got to keep in mind.
I watched Kel score 12 points the other night.
Against the Eastern Conference that's not as good as the West.
Right.
Not anywhere near.
Like, so. I literally sat down and watched Kel a whole game, and a dude had 12 points. I'm like, yeah, I got to chill, man. Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant, guys.
Yeah, even with 11-point games.
Mikal has more games like KD. The game that we're going crazy about KD tonight, Mikal has a lot of those. Just go look.
And I get it. They're talking about defense, but I don't think one man's defense on this team without Kevin Durant, or if you're running back a similar roster to what you had a handful of years ago, you're destined to repeat the same ending that you've seen before with that group. So I have that in a T-shirt with the $4.99 super chat. Says you need a minimum of 2 wing guys that can sit down and defend and stop penetration, especially when you have bigs with limited mobility.
Yeah.
Can I ask both of y'all something?
Yes.
And be 100% honest. No BS.
You didn't want me to lie? Okay.
No, because I've
been lying all show.
I know. No, I'm just keeping it real. In the 2 Boston games in this game, do you think having Josh Okogie helps, or makes a difference?
Yeah, I would say it makes a difference. It makes a difference. I don't know if it's a difference enough to win.
Okay.
But it does make a difference.
Well, does it make a difference if you play the same exact scheme, though? If it's all about collapsing and you're not guarding the 3-point line, does Josh Okogie's skill as a defender?
I think Josh Okogie limits penetration a little bit more and prevents the kickouts as much as what's happening right
there
now.
You go. That's what
fair.
I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's fair. Gary Wheaton says, I'd like to crack a 4-peak over football. No violence. Just drink the beer and enjoy it.
Tara Zontanos says, moral support, basketball and heart. I appreciate you, Tara.
Thank you,
$10
Tara.
does make me feel better.
God,
thank you, Tara.
We need it.
I have that in a T-shirt again with the $4.99 super chat. Says JJ Strength was constructing complementary rosters. Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to need another offseason, maybe another coach or 2. I hope not 2.
Oh, man. I don't know.
If we give him 4 head coaching choices, I think we've gone far down the
Listen,
rabbit hole.
I will say this. I'm not trying to besmirch anybody, but the roster construction and the thought going into it, obviously with the limitations that they have, you can see where it came up short, some of the areas that they need to shore up a little bit more. And obviously, when you have the limited capability to do so in the offseason, it's going to prevent a lot of things from happening. So that's why this offseason was so important, that you got the right guys in here, because if you had to extend them, like Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal, like you had to have some wiggle room. And right now, it's going to be really hard to fix some of the things that you're lacking.
Yeah, and I think some of this is when you go into groupthink to create a roster too, because this wasn't just JJ. This is Josh Bartle's team.
I know.
Matt Ishbia, the shadow GM Isaiah Thomas, not the 10-day contract. Like all this comes into play, and what to me that says is they didn't have faith in JJ to do it by himself. But then you get too many cooks in a kitchen, and do you get the right?
That
recipe?
is the fear. And also, it's, listen, there is such thing as, listen, any one of you guys, if you were able to buy the Phoenix Suns, and listen, we've seen some crazy ass hypotheticals in terms of people wanting to trade people and all this other stuff, right? Like, just imagine if you had the keys to the kingdom and you were able to do what you wanted to do. Like, we would be anxious. We would be very, energetic and wanting to prove our point and make our move and make our imprint on this franchise. And that is what has happened. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Steve Ballmer did the same thing when he took over.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban did the same thing when he took over. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And we don't know if this is going to work or if it's not. But I enjoy the enthusiasm from the owner of trying to make this the premier franchise in all of the NBA and the effort that it's taking to get there. And it might not work out and it might be a dumpster fire, but I just know that at least at a minimum, I can trust that Matt Ishbia is going to turn every stone to try and make this team as competitive as possible. And I can live with that at the end of the day. So I'm never going to throw a stone at Matt Ishbia. He's not paying me, by the way. This is not an advertisement for Matt Ishbia.
I wish he
was. Just saying, like, compared to what we had before, like if Matt Ishbia was here and took over with the 7 seconds or less Suns, do you think Joe Johnson doesn't get paid?
Oh, he gets paid.
We win a championship. Joe Johnson never leaves.
We probably win multiple championships,
Well,
right?
Yes.
So that's the difference in between what's happening then and versus now, and the opportunities that are in front of Matt Ishbia versus what were in front of Robert Sarver at the beginning.
Correct.
And hey, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, you're right. You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth and complain that they never made big moves. They never went after it under Sarver. He was a cheapskate. And then you get the guy who makes the moves, goes after it, gets superstars, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. It didn't work, but the effort's there. And I don't want to, the same people that were complaining are still complaining, and I don't want to hear that. Like, you got to accept, okay, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But the effort was there, and applaud that.
And last thing I'll say about that is, he just bought the team. He put this together. This is their first run, man. Like, there's also that thought where you're like, you know what? You see what it looks like. You realize what these three guys look like together. What are their positives? What are their flaws? How do I fill those gaps? Right? It takes some time. So could this ultimately end up being a valiant effort? Not quite the championship, but you can come back in the summer and say, okay, we know we're limited, but these are the little gaps we need to fill now, because year one showed us, all our warts. Like, that happens, man. I'm not mad at Matt. He went for it, man.
Psycho Blue at the $10 super chat says, Basketball Cthulhu remembers when the Suns were billed as a team that would shoot many threes and be scrappy on defense. Does Ishbia handle embarrassment well, I assume that was? Answers may come soon. And then another one from Psycho Blue. Saul, Prime Big O wouldn't be able to make sense of these offensive schemes. Is a system-wide failure, point guard or not?
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Like, I can't figure it out. I really can't. Like, I don't understand what they're doing from time to time. Also, you said Big O, which was crazy to me to think that Damian Lillard set the franchise record, or was the first player in franchise history to have 30 points and 15-plus assists in the same game. And they had a player that averaged a triple-double, and Oscar Robertson, which is just crazy to me to think that never happened under his watch.
There's another obvious guy. Like, and I know he's not a point guard.
Alvin Robertson?
Well, he was another one too. But I'm saying the guy that's there, Giannis. Like, I'm surprised Giannis ain't running to 30 and 15 yet.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I mean? That's kind of crazy. Yeah, that blew me away.
Black Mason says, you think KD is burned out from the minutes? Yes. I actually think that's a big part of this.
I wouldn't doubt that. I think, I would be surprised if down the stretch they didn't, he's got a little tendonitis in his knee, kind of thing, and give him some rest. Because, listen, man, he is 35, and even LeBron doesn't play every game either. You know what I mean? Like, he gets, whether it's a tweaked ankle that they milk for a couple more games or what, but he gets rest. Yeah. And so KD needs to get rest.
And KD, listen, I know people are going to talk about the offensive side today, but man, he in the second half, he got to work defensively.
Defensively, he was great.
He was fine.
He was absolutely great
defensively all year.
I think he had like 2-3 block shots.
Somebody tried to crap on him earlier in the show, saying that he didn't play good defense.
No, he was terrific on
defense. He was fine.
Yeah, the defense has not been an issue. And I think this is also a byproduct of this team not putting away teams, that Kevin Durant has to play additional minutes so they can win games, even if they're quote unquote easy. Kevin Durant pushes in that high 30s, low 40s sometimes in games that it probably should have been 25, 26 minutes that he gets. So, I definitely think that's that. RMB 93, a benching Bull the whole second half, but playing Ish.
The most egregious part of that was not just the Ish part, but in the second quarter, Bull was out there for a couple minutes, and then they substituted him out and brought Nurk back in, and then they proceeded to switch up, and Portis just cooked Nurk from the outside, and kept going. And I was just like, well, Bull's got more flexibility and length than Nurk does. So why wouldn't you leave him out there and just say, hey, you know what, man up on Portis because he's hot. But, again, defensive scheme kind of sucked today. So Don Davis with a super chat, $4.99. I'm tired of giving emotion to a team that doesn't give a damn. The Cardinals were more fun to watch last season. They might have been more fun to watch in terms of their effort, but they were not more fun to watch in terms of wins and losses. No. So I hear where you're coming from, though, Don Davis. And I think that's where we're all going to. Is we want better effort.
We want better effort, and they were built. We were promised something. I will say, Don David, I hope maybe you're a Diamondbacks fan. Hey, look at the Diamondbacks with 15 games left, and then realize they made it to the World Series. I love to go in the archives of the D-backs chat halfway through this season, and then see everybody talking about it's a fucking wagon. That's what I'm saying. We might be in the same spot, guys.
Heat check with an extra K. Thanks for not adding 2. Says, let's stop being biased fans. 70 games in, and we are who we are. This team will not flip a switch once the play-in starts. Sorry, it was in all caps. I felt like I had to give him his money's worth.
I got you.
So,
we got it. Okay, though.
All right. Yeah, I think that covers it all. And you know what? Let's take a look at our final ad reads as I flip through here. We got our friend Stephen PridGeon that'll be joining us shortly here from Milwaukee to give us a look at it. But before then, BetMGM's got a new offer just for you, right? We're not going to talk about our bets because they were all sad, just like the game. But if you go to BetMGM and you sign up for their sportsbook app and use the promo code PHNX, you're going to get up to $1,500 in free bets. So you download the app and on iOS or Android, or visit betmgm.com. Sign up and deposit. Yeah, I'm going on my old Boston roots here. Sign up and deposit at least $10 in your BetMGM Sportsbook account. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets, even if the bet loses. If the bet does lose, your bonus bet will be available once your initial wager is settled. So yeah, that's $10 up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Damn. Just that simple. Once again, sign up for BetMGM. Use that bonus code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app for at least $10. You're receiving $1,500 in bonus bets. Just don't bet like flex, but even if you do, you're still going to get it because you get it even with a loss. Check out the show notes for full details, and now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Gambler. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-UP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117. For confidential help, Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., Mississippi, New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Get stuffed, Ontario. And yes, Puerto Rico, we are still sorry. Flex represents you in bets. You know what? I know we all got big St. Patrick's Day parties, but before St. Patrick's Day, I recommend going over. It's lunchtime. Head over to Illegal Pete's because they got a deal for you. It's patio season, which means it's beers and margaritas. And Illegal Pete's has the strongest margaritas in the business in the state. Yeah, they are unbelievable. Plus, they got a full menu with bowls, tacos, salads, burritos, nachos. I love their piping hot queso, though. It is next level over there. Flex, I highly recommend you try it.
You've been recommending it for a while. When are you going to take me?
I got to take you?
You're a grown-ass man,
I got to take you? You're older than me.
Man.
When are you going to drag
We're
my
neighbors.
ass over
I don't
there?
like going alone. We got to
I told you I'll go with you.
All
I'm
right.
I'm lazy and I need some help, right? I'm like the Suns. My effort disappears from time to time, and I need you to pick me up. Your positivity and your car, all right?
Gotcha.
So this college basketball season, we're in crunch time. Win or lose, Illegal Pete's is here for you. Bring you a win with their legendary sound check deal. Bring your ticket stub from any ticketed event. Final Four is going to be fantastic, so bring it in and get a draft beer or house margarita for $1. Illegal Pete's wants to celebrate with you, whether it's pregame or postgame, with locations in Tucson and Tempe. They got you covered on all your game day needs. Must purchase an adult entree to redeem Illegal Pete's sound check deal. Illegal Pete's, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beers. And speaking of buddies, we've got ours out in Milwaukee. It's Stephen PridGeon. Stephen, welcome into the program.
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
You look like we feel, man. You sound like we feel, at least. That was a rough one.
You guys kind of cut out. Say that one more time.
So that was a rough one today. What was your biggest takeaway from today's game?
Yeah, it was definitely a rough one. I think the sign that I've been tapping for a majority of the season now has been those random quarters where they score like 25 or less. And in the modern NBA, where teams are scoring 30 plus a quarter, you put yourself way behind the eight ball and have to work uphill from there just to get back even. And then you have to obviously finish out the game after that. And, they have to figure out how to keep themselves out of those situations. I think the issue was obviously on defense today in that second quarter. And obviously they figured things out after that, but it was just entirely too much to make up for with that barrage that they saw in the first half, particularly in the second quarter.
What did the team have to say after the game?
I mean, Durant was pretty much everything defensively. He didn't really want to talk about offense at all. And it's really just coming down to sustaining success. Obviously, you're not going to get a stop on every possession, but the disposition, like Frank Vogel always emphasizes, it should look a certain way. Teams are going to score, but if you can just do the things that you are supposed to in terms of principles in a sustained manner, you're able to live with some of that and obviously not lose as much of the ground that they had to ultimately end up trying to make up towards the second half of this game tonight or today.
So did you feel like from his perspective that it was just a lack of chemistry on the defensive end or communication, or what was the biggest reason why he kind of just that he could point to in terms of their lack of efficiency on the defensive end, especially in that first half?
First thing first, credit to Milwaukee. Damian Lillard is, in case people didn't know, is a killer. He's a capital D dude, and we saw a whole lot of that tonight in terms of not just the scoring, but the playmaking to compromise the Suns' coverages. But looking at it from the Suns' perspective, it really just comes down to execution. The scheme was there. They made the appropriate adjustments in terms of lineups as well as scheme within the lineups they were using, and it just came down to execution. And they would go on multiple runs in the second half, but again, when you're working so far uphill to try to get back even, you put a lot of stress on yourself. In addition to having to go against an opponent in the Bucks without Giannis that has 5-out spacing galore in pretty much every lineup that they're using without Giannis, it's just too much to try to work back against, especially when you're on the road, and that just kind of makes it tough. So really, all just comes down to execution within whatever coverages and schemes they decide to put forth.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm with you, man. Like I look at this score, 140 to 129. I mean, it's not an offensive issue. The Suns almost put up 130. This is all on the defensive end. My question is the first half, it felt like they made adjustments coming out of the second half. They were a little tighter on the three-point line. They were denying a little bit more at the three-point line. I guess my question is, man, did anybody talk to Frank about why it felt like it took a little too long to make those adjustments? It looked like they just let that second quarter snowball. It was a snowball effect, and you made the adjustments. It was a valiant effort in the second half, but damn, why did it take so long?
Yeah, he pretty much just emphasized the fact that Milwaukee is just the way that they play, and in contrast to the Suns' defensive principles. Obviously, they want to guard the three-point line, but even before that, it's taking away the paint. And for them specifically, when you're going against a team like Milwaukee, again, without Giannis, when you're trying to take away the paint, that's obviously naturally going to open up the floodgates opportunity-wise for the opponents from the three-point line. And that just kind of makes it tough. It's like the chess within the game in terms of a team having a counterpunch to what your base is, and then you having to have something to adjust to after that. And it was definitely slower by my opinion, but Frank pretty much just attributed to the fact that Milwaukee obviously came out hot, and they struggled to put the fire out after they came out and set that tone that they did from deep.
Yeah, did they forget Bobby Portis was on the floor there for that second quarter?
Well, I mean, that the one play in transition that led to his first time out, they most definitely did. Everybody ran to the paint, and the hottest player in the gym was wide open coming up that left side of the floor and knocked down yet another three-pointer. So, yeah, I think so, Espo.
Yeah, Steven, from your vantage point, I assume you're sitting up pretty high. When you're watching the Suns' rotations on defense, what's the first thing that really sticks out to you?
That's a great question. And I think, honestly, early in the game, I think it was just the contrast in styles making for something that the Suns had to adjust a lot sooner than they actually did to. Like we talked about Milwaukee without Giannis, 5-out spacing. If you want to take away the pain in your defensive principles, there's going to be a natural work in progress you have to get through. But in addition to that, just kind of looking at some of the adjustments they made, they went to some more of their cross-matching when they put Kevin Durant on Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis and to try to flatten out a lot of the actions that Milwaukee was trying to run, especially in that empty corner with Damian Lillard. So for me, it's just getting to that portion sooner. I think it might need to be more of a defensive base for this team going into the playoffs than it currently is. And we've seen an uptick in it the last 2 to 3 weeks. But I feel like, honestly, it needs to be even more of a primary portion of their base. And I think when they do that, they're able to kind of stop some of the runs in terms of what we saw from Bobby Portis in that second quarter and late first quarter stretch.
Steven, I got to piggyback on that. You're saying, and I need you to explain this. You're saying the defensive principles today were to defend the paint or take the pain away. Now, is that the principles of the team before they knew Giannis was going to be out? Because once Giannis is out, why are we trying to take away the pain? Like, I don't see anybody over there that tells me I'm super scared of the pain once Giannis is out. So I guess I want clarification. Am I wrong or am I off base by saying this? The minute Giannis is out, I don't think the defensive principle should be to deny them the pain. I see you should be inviting them in there and taking away their 3-point shooters.
To be fair, that's their principles every game because they leave 3-point shooters open all the time.
Real talk. Can you clarify that for me?
Yeah, so what I'm speaking to specifically with Milwaukee, obviously kind of last-minute scratch with Giannis being out, you still have the Damian Lillard fire to put out. And principle-wise, they're putting 2 to the ball, if not having Nurkic at the level of the screen, the flatheads, to take away that pull-up three-pointer that's prolific from Dame. So by nature of that, Damian Lillard is able to stretch out that rotation from use of Nurkic, and that puts stress on the backside of the defense because now somebody has a cover for the helper, who's Nurkic in that scenario to start the game. And they got some pick and pop opportunities for Brook Lopez and obviously even more so for Bobby Portis, in addition to Milwaukee kind of manipulating the spacing and doing it in an empty corner. So now the help is that much further away. And if they're popping to the empty corner side, there's, essentially no help. Yusuf has the show because obviously Damian Lillard is a threat and he's the biggest piece you want to get the ball out of his hands. So that just kind of, the dominoes for the defense just consistently fell. Milwaukee was able to kind of keep them in rotation from there. And that's just kind of like I mentioned, the back and forth that we were seeing over the course of the game.
Steven, I appreciate your analysis and appreciate you filling in. Oh, you got one more song?
I got one more thing. We're going to let you go right now, Steven, because DC says you need to get out of there and do something special with your life. So...
Well, we appreciate your analysis. It's always insightful. And we appreciate you filling in for us on Friday and filling in for J-Roll.
Appreciate you.
So we will talk to you soon, Steven. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon in Milwaukee.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Take care.
All right. I think that brings us to a close. We've come full circle, and I think we're calmer now. I feel a little bit better.
Listen, these games, they are emotional in the moment when you're watching them because you want your team to succeed, and you get frustrated when you feel like they should be playing a lot better than they are. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, if this isn't 2018 when I knew this team was going to be trash, and they ironically enough, that fucking team beat the Bucks twice, which is really weird.
They did. I remember.
You know what I mean? Like, and so when you have a bad team and they surpass your expectations, feel pretty good, but you go in expecting them to lose. This team's the opposite. You expect them to be competitive every single game, and when they don't show that, you're disappointed. And again, it's disappointment. It's not you're mad, you're not angry. It's just you're just very disappointed because you know that this team should be better than what they're showing. And you just got to leave with that, move on, and hopefully they get better.
Yeah, well said. You can follow Flex at Flex from Jersey. Follow Saul at Saul_Bookman. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. Thank you to Eric behind the Mac, killing it, and congratulations. You did a hell of a job on Friday hosting and producing. We appreciate you, man, and we'll get you some more time on the mic here on the show, too. You can follow me at Espo, and remember, at least you got the rest of your afternoon. Ahoy, hoy!
We all silly like the mayor.